Hello, this is Mike, and welcome to video 60 on PHP programming. And specifically, we're looking at the fifth lesson, which deals with Facebook applications and Flash Builder. And today, we're looking at XML. We're actually going to create an XML, use the data wizard to bind to that XML in Flash Builder. Going to set it up in a data grid, and going to show you how to use the application complete tag. Now, last time we did talk about XML and validation, but didn't discuss in detail actually how to create an XML file. So let's run the program and actually get an idea of what kind of data we need. So here's our program, PHP in 5 Lessons by Lively. And you can see right now we've got a title that we need, we've got some text on the box here that we need, and when you click to a different state, let's go to state 1, you can see you've got the lesson title, the lesson videos, and there would be a link for those videos. You have assignments and download, where you'd have assignment names and the download links, and finally just an assignment that would be, in a sense, HTML formatted. So I see I have a number of things I'm going to need, basically a title box, a list box, another list box, and once again a rich text box. So in all of that, let's now go back and talk about the XML that we'd need to actually populate those boxes with. So here's an XML. Now the thing that was confusing about me when I first learned XML many years ago is people said, well, XML is just like HTML, but you create your own tags. I went, wow, you create your own tags, and then what happens? So don't be confused like I was with XML. When you create your own tags in XML, then you have to have another program actually which parses or reads those tags and grabs the information from them. And so in this particular case, we needed a title, we needed an assignment, we need a downloads list that has the label and the link. And we put a description name here as well in case we need that. You also need the videos. You need a label with that, a link, a description, and possibly the time the video would run. And that's pretty much all there is in the XML. Now I'm creating all these tags, so what I do, I'll start off by creating a data tag, and when you ever open it, you have to close it, and that / closes your data tag. Within that, I'm going to create a title tag, and I'm going to create an assign tag, opening and closing, so front and end. Then we'll have item tags, basically whatever item you have in there, opening and closing, and then label, opening, closing, link, and description. So that's how basically everything runs. Once again, here there's a video tag with the closing videos and all the items that might be in those video tags as well. So just remember, when you create XML, you have to have a closing tag and an opening tag, and you sandwich all those together, creating a child-parent relationship. So that's pretty much all there is to XML. Once you've created that, make sure you take it to Dreamweaver and validate it as we did last time. We won't do it again here. And once you've done that, you're ready to start loading it with data. And that's exactly what we've done in our program. Let's go ahead and go to that. So we're in Flash Builder, and we're going to take a look at our data, which is an XML file. And I'm going to open this up in Dreamweaver. And in Dreamweaver, I've actually populated this XML, and you can see I've got my title here, which is going to be PHP in 5 Lessons. That's the actual title on the splash page. And I have the assignments that goes in that box right there. And then I have any type of downloads that might occur. And let's go down a little bit. And then in the states, the first states, I'm going to have the title with basically this is lesson 1, Eclipse and PHP syntax. And here's my assignment page. And then here's my downloads, lesson 1, and the actual PDF link. And then I go down a little bit lower, I have all the different videos that would occur in that lesson. For example, assignment 1 and the YouTube link, and then the video setup 1, and then the link to that video. And so everything is in place here to go ahead and run this in XML. Now once I have my XML file all together, and I populate it, I'm now ready to bring this into my Eclipse program. So let's click on my PHP source. I'm in source view right now. In source view, I see an application tag. No action scripting yet, but I don't need it yet. I'm actually going to just bring all that data in through the data wizard. So let's come here to design view. I'm going to open up the window tab, and I'm going to go to components. And here's my components tab, and what I'm going to do is drag over the data grid. And I'm actually going to populate this data grid through drag and drop techniques. Now we're going to go to window, and we're going to go to data wizard. And down here the data wizard has come up, and in the data wizard we have connect to data. Let's go ahead and click on that. And when we click on that, we actually have a choice. And quite a bit of choice too. And if you're familiar with the previous Flash Builder, actually there's a few more choices than before. We're actually going to choose XML because that's what we're going to actually load into our program. So go ahead and, as far as your service type is concerned, click on XML. And what we're going to do now is just navigate to the XML that we've just created. So we're going to browse. Here's our SRC folder. It takes us right to the Flash project that we're working with. Click on that. Go to Assets, go to Data, and click on Data Master. That populates, and when that's populated, all you have to do is come down here and hit Finish. So we've populated that. Let's hit Finish. And now it's creating all the services classes that we're going to need actually to make this run in our program. Now at this point, nothing's really happened because we don't have any of the data coming into the window here. So we actually have to bind that data service that we just created to our particular data grid. So the way we're going to do that is go ahead and just open up Windows and look at that Data Connect Services again. Let me just drag this tab over here and just drop it so you can see it. And so what we've actually done is created a data services, and we're going to drag this over to our data grid and populate it. So just drag it and drop it. And we're going to get the data, so we'll go ahead and click on that and hit OK. And suddenly you can see that our data grid has been populated with title, assign, downloads, and videos. Let's go ahead and run that and see if it's actually populated. So I'm coming along here. Here's my little green button. Let's click the green run button and see if we have our XML data coming into our data grid. So after running my program, you can see my data grid is populated, but some of these things don't make any sense. I get a little object here, which actually what that means is I'm not actually tearing down far enough into my data structure. But don't worry, we'll be able to do that in the coding as we load our different containers. But we do indeed see the title, and we see the other things, assign, download, and video. So things are kind of working the way we are. We're limping now. Let's see if we do a little bit of coding and start running. So let's get out of this. So I'm back in PHP Eclipse, and what I actually want to do is go to source code and see what we actually generated with this particular data grid. And if we open this up, we see we've actually created a data grid, and the data grid actually has a creation complete. So when I actually open up the data grid and take a look at the creation complete method in that, basically what that does is when the data grid is created, it runs the method data grid creation complete. If I roll over and click on that, that brings me up to the method here, and what that method is doing is running the token method that actually grabs the data from my particular XML file. Okay, so if I roll over and click on get data, that brings me down to the call responder. And that's actually grabbing my data for me. So we have a little bit of work to do here, but guess what? We no longer need the data grid, so we're going to get rid of it because now we have brought in our call responder and we have our basically data grid creation method that grabs the data from the XML. So once again, no longer need a data grid. Let's get rid of it. But the code's there for us to put into a creation complete handler. So at the top of my program is the application tag, and what I want to happen is to run this and actually do a creation complete when the entire application is created and run the XML method which grabs the data. So I'm actually going to put a few little spaces in here, and I'm going to create a creation complete method. So I'm put a little tab here, just type creation complete. There you go. I can automatically generate that code, right? I'm going to grab this piece of data right here because I no longer need that. Hit the Alt tab and Alt that down into creation complete. So now, as opposed to waiting for the data grid to be created, whenever my program is created, the first thing I actually want to run, let's get rid of this, is the application method which goes and grabs the XML data for me. So I use the data grid to actually automatically generate the code that I needed, the call responder that I needed, the data master that I needed to get and grab the data. But now that I have all that code automatically generated, I'm going to kind of work with it and manipulate it so I get the rest of the program working the way I want it to do. So you're going to see me using a lot of tricks like this as we move on in this program, tricks that enable me to, in a sense, auto-generate code, then I go back and recode that to build a more dynamic system. And you got to do that with Adobe Flash Builder. You got to be able to go in there, automatically generate code, and then recode that code. But it is a process which makes it so much faster for you because you're not generating the basic templates. So what did we learn in this lesson? Basically, we learned about XML, what it was, and basically how to populate it. Now, we haven't learned how to drill down to its individual nodes yet, but we're going to learn that in the next lesson. Then we actually learned how to bring out our components manager and drag a data grid to the screen, and we use that data grid to automatically generate code that we're going to need to actually make a more dynamic program. From that, we learned a little bit about going between source and design view. In our source view, we found that there was an application tag. We created a creation complete handler, which enabled us to actually grab the automatic generated get data results method, which will bring in our XML data. Now, with that XML data coming in, we can now populate the containers that we need to make this program work. And so we're moving forward. Thanks for listening. This was Mike Lively. I'll see you next time.